¿Qué onda, chavos? Yo soy su amigo Van Tickets. Compártanlo con sus amigos y suscríbanse al canal.
You know, I read that comic book in 1986 when it came out, and I've been reading comic books my whole life, and that one really said to me, like, okay, there's another way of doing it. Like, Frank basically took the idea of comic book narrative and the idea of, like, comic book imagery and really just the archetypes and just turned them on their heads. And I think, though the story is different from what Frank did in Dark Knight Returns, I really felt like, as a way of saying thank you to Frank for sort of shaping my aesthetic over the last 20 years, I really wanted to get these images that had affected me so much into the movie. And you could see it, his presence throughout, as well as just tonally, it's very similar. And it's a way into this sort of conflict between Batman and Superman. Yeah, that's Jesse. I met with Jesse. He came into, actually we were talking about another role, and when he came in, he offered just such a, he's a smart guy, and he's got this amazing sort of just way about him that is, you know, you never could tell whether he's being self-deprecating or whether he's like insulting you. And I mean that as a compliment. And so he really was this amazing force of nature. And when he left, I thought, you know, this guy to me could really play an amazing Lex in that, you know, he offers this character that you can't quite figure out. You never can tell exactly what his motivations are or where he's headed, and that's what I really thought was offered an amazing possibility for Lex, is that, you know, I think Lex in the past has been so sort of iconographic, and you're always instantly aware of what his motivation, what his plan is, you know. And I think with Jesse, you know, you're constantly guessing, and you don't know like where it's going to go, which I think is fun. Yeah, I know. I think that I'm going to start with the Frank Miller line, because I think that the difference with what Frank Miller did is in that scene, there's an implication in The Dark Knight Returns. The point of the conflict is for Superman to sort of win or survive, right? In Dark Knight Returns. And so that, in a weird way, that line is a clue in the book to what happens later in the book, right? Like he's sort of setting us up to understand that he realizes, Batman knows in the book that he's not going to make it through. So the reason I didn't include the line is because there's slightly different motivations and slightly different sort of character concepts going forward in the movie. And so it didn't make 100% sense for him to say that to me, because I felt like what Batman's intention in the movie is different than what Batman's intention is in the book. And as far as Jeff Johns goes, Jeff Johns is has been an amazing collaborator with us. I'm going to say that he, for this movie, and his, you know, Chris Terrio and I really were sort of the driving forces behind the sort of what to include and what not to include. Although Jeff certainly was consulted and talked to about, you know, to make sure we weren't, you know, completely screwing up the canon. Although I'm pretty careful with the canon most of the time about, you know, what characters can do and what they can't do. I do like to, you know, with any sort of mythological conceit, you have to also want or be willing to challenge that exact notion and conceit. Like, you know, the idea that certain characters absolutely can and cannot do certain things. If you're a fan of the comic books, you know that idea is constantly challenged by every comic book writer that ever exists. Like for instance, in Man of Steel, you know, people have said to me like, oh, you know, you had Zod, Superman kill Zod, and that's like an impossible thing. And I'm always like, well, if you've ever read the comic books, you know that's happened in the comics, and that it's all about, to me, this idea of testing and pushing those icons, these archetypes that we believe, you know, the only metaphor that's interesting is one that you can challenge, and I think that's what we have here. But at the same time, I do have a real you know, I have a reverence for these characters, and I will bend them, but I won't break.
Great. I have lived a long life of rumors, and many of them absurd, and that is one of the most absurd of all of them. I just like the idea also that if I was gonna write, I would go put on the bat suit first, just to get ready, because it's so comfortable to write in. I can't even write with a pencil, much less type with the gloves on. You know, we were graced with an extraordinary writer in Chris Terrio, who wrote Argo, and a brilliant collaborator with Zach. And they put together something that was extraordinary in this, I think, in this screenplay and in this movie, and that I was just happy to be part of. I was so relieved that the only thing I had to do in my bat suit was just try to play Batman and not have to worry about making the movie. That it was really a joy to be able to do it. So no, I didn't rewrite anything in any outfit, underwear, long or otherwise.
Oh, Ben, what about directing one of the next Batman films?
That's an interesting idea. I don't have any. I'm directing a movie, finishing a movie right now for Warner Brothers called Live by Night, which I'm sure I'll come back here and talk to all of you about, and I hope you all come back when it's a movie with people without capes. I'm kind of a one-at-a-time sort of guy. I'm editing that movie now while I'm promoting this, and then when that's done, I'll figure out what I'd like to do next. This experience working for Zach and with these great, you know, the cast and crew and working for Warner's, who's so incredible and supportive, has been really instructive and has inspired me definitely. I think I wouldn't have been prepared to direct a movie of that scale until I kind of got a chance to sort of almost apprentice, you know, and watch Zach do it, which has been really a great learning experience for me on this movie.
To be honest with you, even, sorry, too many interviews, I'm losing my voice. Before they even cast me for this part, Zach had a very, very clear vision and an idea on who is the Wonder Woman that he wants to bring back and what's her story. For me, I feel like I'm the luckiest girl alive to be playing this part. I have so much respect for Wonder Woman and everything that she stands for love and justice and truth and compassion, and she's amazing. She's bigger than life. And for me, all I had to do was basically come on board, embody everything that Zach wanted me to do, give my own input and notes, and just go for it. It was important for me that she's not going to be goody two-shoes. She's so perfect. She has such an amazing, you know, values, and I wanted people to be able to relate to her. And I love her. I hope you will love her too, and it's been a pleasure.
Terrific.
This kind of character is something near and dear to my heart. I really, really care about this character, and so the chance to come back and play him again was something which excited me, and the chance to play opposite Ben as well, with the Batman. And the thing which I enjoyed the most about this and playing this character in this movie was that we're now seeing the evolution of Superman. We're not at the finished product. We're seeing him going through his growing pains, making his mistakes. He's not quite yet the guy who we know and love from the comic books, but you can see the beginnings of it. And playing with that was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Estuve muy cansado y también tuve que comer tan mucho de carne y peces.
Pensamos que el traje tiene los músculos, que no son tus músculos.
Sí, son mis músculos. Por supuesto. A ver, de aquí son de tócalo. Sí. Es la verdad. Tú lo sabes.
¿Quién te enseñó a hablar español? ¿Quién te enseñó?
Él solo quiso tocarme. Hola, sí. ¿Qué pasa?
Ben, is it true? ¿Es verdad that your kid thinks you're really Batman?
Sí,
que tus hijos creen que eres Batman.
Mi hijo que tiene 4 años piensa que yo soy el Batman actual, el real Batman.
Y que no lo haces engañado. You keep telling him it's true.
Sí, yo digo que es la verdad.
¿Sí?
So when I go out, I go to the Batcave.
Oh, okay. And what about the
mis hijas son más inteligentes, porque las mujeres son más inteligentes que los hombres. Ella sabe que yo no soy el Batman real, pero son más
Pero tú no sí.
Well, they're a little older, so they know the truth.
Man, just between us, who wins this battle? Is it Batman or Superman? ¿Quién gana?
Si quiere saber quién gana esta lucha, tiene que mirar la película, man.
Y todos la quieren ver, correcto.
Which gadget? Which Batman gadget would you love to have for your personal use? Gadget. ¿Qué gadget de Batman te gustaría tenerlo para ti personalmente todos los días?
Lo mejor gadget de Batman es el coche, el Batmobile.
Más que el que vuela, más que todo.
Sí, lo mejor que todo. Pero el más rápido que any car I ever had. Es very loud. No sé cómo se dice en español.
Ruidoso. ¿Cómo fue conducir?
Muy caliente también cuando estás trabajando.
¿Cómo fue manejarlo? How was it to drive it?
Muy difícil, pero a lot of fun.
I can bet. Did you know that the largest Batman fan base in the world are in Mexico?
Is that true? No podemos creerlo. Mira aquí, está mucha gente aquí.
Hay muchos fans de Batman. Unas palabras para todos los fans de Batman.
Muchísimas gracias por venir esta noche en México. Gracias a todos ustedes. Ustedes son los mejores fans del mundo.
Did you ever think that you were gonna play a superhero someday? ¿Pensaste alguna vez que ibas a ser un superhéroe?
No pude imaginar que un día I would be standing here playing this character. It was a dream I never even imagined.
Really? And if you could pick one of the characters, would you have picked Batman?
Ya tengo el character mejor. This is it.
Dice que nunca se imaginó ser un superhéroe y que tiene el mejor superhéroe para él, que el de él también el favorito es Batman. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being here in Mexico. And it's great
Gracias
meeting you.
me ha encantado. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Ben Affleck.
Gracias a mí.
Ben Affleck, damas y caballeros.
Sí, por supuesto.